Welcome back to Dev Life. So I decided to redesign the main character for the game. I think it's super important to have kind of like a memorable, iconic character or whatever, right? And if you're not familiar with the main character in my game, his name is Felix, and the name of the game is The Last Phoenix. So it's kind of a cool way to remember the two, you know? And I thought a cool way to make him memorable would be to make his hair red. It fits into the whole Phoenix thing. It makes him kind of more iconic and memorable. In my previous game, Dwerve, the main character, had blue hair. But also, the blue hair made Dwerve easier to spot on screen. And the same thing with the red hair. It'll make the character stand out better against the background. So the character's easy to follow visually, you know? This portrait's about 300 pixels tall, and the reason why I did such a big portrait is because I didn't just want to do the face. I thought I like games that show kind of like the whole body, and I think it's a cool way to show a lot more detail in more than just the face. And of course, it's more time consuming, a lot more effort, but hopefully you guys appreciate it. Hopefully it makes it look more like a quality product game, you know what I mean? But even with the 300 pixels, it's still so difficult to get the details in with this pixel density. It's like you might be able to draw good, but can you draw good with hardly any pixels to work with? Maybe not. I like reusing colors, and I was trying to reuse colors from Evelyn. Evelyn was the first character portrait that I did, and she is gonna be the love interest and the shopkeeper. And so I was trying to see if I could reuse the colors, but I also don't want them to be the exact same green, like skin tone or whatever. So I decided to make Felix a little bit lighter. I was trying experimenting with making Felix a little bit lighter, a little bit darker. And I asked my girlfriend what she thinks, and I'm white and she's Hispanic. So she was like, make Felix lighter. I like to challenge myself by using a minimum amount of colors when doing pixel art. There's a certain point where if you just use like an infinite amount of colors, it kind of loses some of that pixel art aesthetic or retro aesthetic, or I don't know, to me it starts looking a little bit like less like art. There's something special about reusing colors in a piece of artwork, and I think it aesthetically actually makes it look better. And when I do backgrounds for this game, I'm not limiting my color palette, but I still try to sort of like pick three main colors, like triad colors, so that way there's sort of like a theme. So that's why, as you can see with Evelyn and Felix, they don't have too many colors. And the Felix has that yellow on all the like gold or whatever, and maybe it would have been a good idea to make his belt a different color, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, because the belt is not made of metal. It's not gold. It's rope, you know. After I shared the portrait of Evelyn on social media and stuff, some people got annoyed that I'm calling these characters goblins, because they said that they're not your typical goblins. And you know what? I think that is okay. Someone said that they look like green elves, but honestly, they're inspired. These characters are inspired by goblins, elves, vampires, and even demons. Like the red eye, like I feel like that's a little bit demonic. So it's kind of like a mix of all of those. That's completely okay, because I don't have to just copy Tolkien, which is like Lord of the Rings lore or whatever. I kind of want to make up my own stuff like Zelda does, you know, just completely made up characters in a completely made up universe. However, I still wanted to semi relate to stuff that we're familiar with. I was thinking a cool mechanic in the game would be that you buy these charms that are earrings, and in the UI you would see Felix's like ears, big ears, and you would put earrings on Felix's ears, and the charms would be like whatever, the earrings would be buffs. It's kind of a fun way to do buffs, right? I like it when there's visual stuff associated with the inventory or the mechanics, and I think that's a fun way to have charms exist in the world. I had a little bit of trouble with the ear. It's like you got to add detail, but you don't want to overdo the detail. You know what I mean? Because once you do too much detail in an ear, it starts looking weird, and I don't want to bring too much attention to the ears. But I mean, it still is a pretty prominent feature of Felix. So in the Discord, I was talking about how I'm going to do these portraits. I like having the characters face each other with a word bubble in between. We did something like that for my previous game, Dwerve, and I really like that look. However, I don't want to cover the body with the text bubble, and this is an example of what Guild Wars 2 did. I like something similar to that. If you haven't joined the Discord yet, you totally should. It's a great place to post your art and get feedback and just be motivated to work on stuff by seeing what other people are working on. So what I'm drawing here now is the gauntlet. There's on the left is the skill tree, and you can see he's missing his eyes and some other pieces because I separated them so I could animate them on the skill tree screen. But anyway, so the tree is part of Felix. The gauntlet that shoots fire is the tree, and it's got like an eyeball on it. It's conscious. It has a consciousness, and I'm thinking that it'll even talk to Felix, or maybe he can only hear it. But basically they're merged, they're conjoined. The tree's almost like a parasite now. So as you can see, the in-game sprite of Felix doesn't match the portrait anymore, which means this character has to be redrawn. And I think the new one's gonna fit this environment a little bit better. I do think this character was pretty cool with the long hair and stuff, but hopefully you guys like the new sprite even more. One of the other things I added is that when you die, you can finally unlock skills. In a previous video, I drew the skill tree. And then I can unlock this one, and I like the particle effect that I added. When I posted the portrait of Evelyn, someone mentioned that she looked like she was Gypsy Romani people inspired, and I think that's pretty cool, especially because part of the lore is that they're gonna be living in caravans and they travel, and that's also why I think it's having all the jewelry on them kind of makes sense because they're bringing everything with them and stuff. You know, I gave Felix 3 belly button piercings. Someone on Discord said, "When your happy trail is bejeweled." Let me know if you think the Bejeweled Happy Trail is cool or not. But you know, regardless of whether it's cool or not, you can't say it's not unique. By the way, I have free art assets on Itch, and it's where I'm going to post this game first too. So I didn't finish doing all the skill tree skills or this portrait, but it was the coolest thing I had to show you this week. I've been trying to keep track of how long it takes me to do one of these portraits, and just in general tracking a bunch of stuff that I do. I think it's great for productivity and to get better at predicting how long things are going to take. I am really bad at predicting how long things are going to take. So this piece of artwork has taken me about 6 hours, and I think it's going to take me another 3, but it's so in total close to probably like 10 hours. But my girlfriend and I worked on the character design for several hours before I even started drawing. I hope these videos motivate you to work on your project, and the rest of this video is going to be sped up drawing with music for you to work to. So I'll see you guys next week. A Dev Live. You got this. You don't have to give up because it's not perfect. Just keep moving forward.